everyone, welcome to my second video in my downloading series. This video is going to be about installing Hyper-V and creating a virtual machine in Hyper-V. So for those of you who did not see my previous video, Hyper-V is a Type 1 hypervisor from Microsoft, and it is free as long as you have Windows 8 or Windows 10 Professional or above. So let's get on to installing Hyper-V. Just type in the feature keyword in the Windows search, click on Turn Windows Features on and off. The list will load and you will select Hyper-V from the list and click OK. So it's loading. Alright, so we're just going to restart. Alright, so my computer has restarted. Now if we open up the search function again and search for Hyper-V, you should see the Hyper-V Manager Desktop app available. You can right click, you can pin it to your taskbar, and then you can run it. So, this is Hyper-V. In order to create your first virtual machine, all you have to do is right-click on your server, go on New, and select Virtual Machine. This will bring up the Virtual Machine Creation wizard. The first page you can ignore. Click Do Not Show this page again. Now here you can name your virtual machine. So because you're going to be using this virtual machine to download torrents, you can probably call it something like torrent server. And you want to store the data for this virtual machine somewhere where you can easily find it. So I usually go on C and I create a new folder called VMs. So I'll just delete it. You can just click here, New Folder, and you name it VMs. And you can go in there and you can create another new folder for that virtual machine. So call this folder Torrent Server. And you can use this folder, so C VMs Torrent Server. And you just click Next. Stick with the Generation 1 virtual machine. We aren't going to be using it for very complex reasons, so stick to Generation 1 and click Next. So this is the amount of memory that you want to assign. So depending on how much memory you have on your physical computer, if you have 4 gigs of memory, you can probably allocate half of that to your virtual machine. So for those of you who aren't that tech savvy, memory generally increments in RAM generally goes up in increments of 1024. So you want to assign a memory of 2048, which is 1024 times 2. So that's 2048 megabytes of RAM, so 2 gigs of RAM to that virtual machine. Click Next. This is the network that you want to connect it to. Now, there's no networks created right now. We're going to have to create one later, so click Next. Alright, so this is where we create the virtual hard drive that your virtual machine is going to use. Now, you should store this in the folder that we created, the torrent server folder. You select that folder, and you can allocate maybe 50 gigabytes of space to that virtual machine. So obviously, you need to install Windows in that virtual machine. Now, if you have a Windows 7 disk, or Windows 8 or Windows 10 disk lying around, you could click Install an operating system from a bootable CD/DVD-ROM, and you can choose your physical CD drive. If you don't have a physical CD drive or a Windows 7 or 10 disk, you can choose an image file, an ISO file. And I usually keep a bunch of these ISO files on one of my drives. So I'm just going to select one. I have a Windows 7 all-in-one ISO file, so I can select that. I can click Next, and then Finish. So this is going to format the virtual hard drive and then create the virtual machine. So here's the virtual machine. You can right-click the virtual machine. You can connect to the console, which is the monitor of the virtual machine. You can also go on Settings, which is what we want to do. Make sure you're on Add Hardware up here, and we want to add a... Oh, sorry, no, we don't want to add a network adapter. So what we need to do now is make sure our virtual machine will get network connectivity. And if you remember when we were creating it, we couldn't select a network to connect to. That's because there are no virtual switches that have been created. So on the side here, we need to click on Virtual Switch Manager. So there are three types of switches that we can create. We can create an external switch, an internal switch, and a private switch. So what we want to create is an external switch. That will bridge your physical network adapter and your virtual network adapter. So your virtual machine will be able to access the internet. So just select external and click Create Virtual Switch. And this switch, you can probably name it something like VM-external. And make sure this is the correct network adapter here that you want to bridge it to, and hit Apply, and hit Yes. It's going to apply the changes, and you hit OK. Alright, so now we have to connect the virtual network adapter on your virtual machine to that new switch that we just created. So right-click on your virtual machine and click Settings, click on your network adapter, and click Virtual Switch connected to VM External, the one that we just created. Hit Apply, and hit OK. So now we can turn on our virtual machine. To turn it on, all you have to do is connect to it and hit this green button right here that says Start. That will start up your virtual machine. So my Windows ISO that I put in there is already booting up automatically. I didn't have to do anything. So it's saying starting Windows. So this is launching the Windows installer. So this is just like on a regular computer. You put in your disk, it boots to the disk, and you just click through and you install Windows. So I'm going to click Next, Install Now. Still waiting. All right. So depending on your CPU architecture, which is probably a 64-bit CPU because all new computers are 64-bit, what you want to do is you could pick any one of them, and this is because this is an all-in-one disk. So if you have a disk that's only Windows 7 Home Premium, well, you're only going to get the Windows 7 Home Premium option. But because this is an all-in-one disk, I have all these options that I can pick from. So I usually go with Windows 7 Professional, 64-bit. And I could probably go with a 32-bit because I only gave it 2 gigs of RAM, so it would probably work, but I'm going to stick with 64-bit. Click I accept, click Next. Alright, so here is where you select your VHD. So we're not doing an upgrade. I never do an upgrade. Always go Custom, And this is that 50 gigabyte VHD that we created. So make sure it's selected and click Next. So this is going to run through, and this is going to install Windows. So I'm just going to pause my recording, and I'm going to come back when it's done. Alright, so my Windows is done installing, and it's just going to restart in 2, 1. So my virtual machine is restarting. I'm actually going to take out the DVD drive, or the ISO. So we go Media, DVD drive, and eject the ISO that you had put in there. So now it's not in the virtual DVD drive anymore. And it's setting up the registry settings right now. So I'm just going to wait till it's all set up, then I'll start back the recording. Alright, so it restarted once more, and now we're at the part where we need to name the virtual machine. So because we named the because we named the virtual machine torrent-server, I'm also going to name the computer name torrent-server. And I'm just going to hit Next. Okay, so the computer name cannot contain only numbers, cannot be the same as your username, and cannot contain spaces. Alright, is there a space in there? Oh, it can't be the same as my username. Oh, my bad, this is the username. Okay, so I'm just gonna create a username of user for now, and the computer name is going to be torrent-server. There you go. I'm not gonna be putting a password. So for those of you who are worried about licensing, we're only using this virtual machine to download our media. So you can actually, if it's Windows 7, you can just skip this and not put in a product key, and actually never put in a product key, and you'll still be able to use the virtual machine. So I'm going to click Ask Me Later. Pacific time, that's fine. Click Next. So now it's going to prepare my desktop, and it's going to log in. Slowly but surely. And there you go. So this is the virtual machine right here. So it's Windows, you can click Start, you got all the features. Obviously, you would install something else than Internet Explorer. But the only thing that we would have installed on here is downloading software, which I'm going to show you guys in a different video. This video is getting a little long, and it was only to show you how to make a virtual machine. So I'm going to make another video on how to utilize this virtual machine and how to download torrents. So as you guys can see, my network adapter isn't up, so the virtual machine doesn't have access to the internet right now. I actually made a mistake. Where I made my mistake, and why this is still saying it can't connect, is because on my virtual switch manager, on the virtual switch we created, I didn't select the right external adapter. So on my computer I have two Ethernet adapters, and I'm actually connected through my Realtek adapter and not my Intel adapter. So I'm going to switch this adapter and click Apply. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. So now if I go back on my virtual machine, see, now I'm connected. So because my computer had two Ethernet adapters and I picked the wrong one, my virtual machine didn't bridge correctly and it couldn't access the internet. But now it can access the internet. So if we go back to the physical computer and click Open Network and Sharing Center and click Change Adapter Settings, see now how my adapter is up and not down. So that's one mistake that I made that was easily fixed. So if I go Properties on here, so I still have to add an IP address. So on my server at home, I have a static IP address. So I'm just going to put that back in there. And I use different DNS servers. So you can just ignore this part. This is just for me. So there you go. Click OK. So now my IP addresses are configured on the virtual adapter, not my physical one. But the physical one still needs to be enabled. So I'm just going to double check. See how none of the protocols are enabled on the physical adapter, but there is this Hyper-V extensible virtual switch feature that is enabled, which means that the physical adapter is bridged to the virtual adapter. So that's how that works. Alright, so I'm going to cut this video off right here, and my next video is going to be how to make a virtual machine on VMware Workstation Player. So thanks for watching. Give a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.